What is up, guys? It is CJ here, and welcome back to episode 6 of the Foundation Challenge. Started off with a little playback here on our next trade in the series on Soul as a little preview, but we are into episode 6. I'm calling it the shadow self, and in this video we are going to dive into what the shadow self means, what it is, and how it is extremely relevant for the game of trading. Let's make sure everything is clean on our Wyckoff model. Guys, as a little preview, this Soul trade could be one of my favorites of my career. Obviously, it's coming in the Foundation Challenge with no risk, but these are the trades that will make us profitable over time. Just a beautiful trade. I actually got a little luckier on the RR. I was not exactly active. I've had a very big transitional period in my life. I won't talk too much about it. I touched on it a little bit in the last video, but we are going to focus mainly directly on the chart. So I saw this break of structure confirming the model. I hopped on after other commitments I had, spoke to some traders, and I was following this structure up where we put in the test of our Wyckoff or TCT Model 1 distribution and was able to trade the break of structure on the test, able to get a refined entry. If we want to dive deeper in, so we're going to focus a little bit on the PA here. We're going to bounce into the psychology part, and then we're going to bounce back into more technical analysis on other trades we have taken. So just to elaborate here on why this was the test, and you can see just very beautiful price action here, where we had that supply created after the breaker structure, confirming our model. So our model is confirmed right here on this aggressive break on an already high probability ranging environment. We get a perfect bounce from our volume area high, in which we come back and we mitigate extreme supply, where we are able to enter on this breaker structure with a refined entry because there is no reason to go any higher. And what you can see is a great follow through and overall great trade. One that I was super happy to be a part of, and very lucky. Sometimes I wasn't sure how much I could be on the charts through this period of my life, but I was able to catch this absolutely textbook distribution model right here. So super grateful about that. But we are going to dive into episode 6 here, titled The Shadow Self. So if you guys are familiar with this series, probably have seen other episodes. If you're watching it, show it to you guys. But the shadow self, this is extremely relevant in trading, and a term I believe coined by Carl Jung. He's a psychologist, very interesting person. I'm not going to dive into too much who Carl Jung is, but after this video, if you don't know who that is, you should look him up or read The Red Book by Carl Jung. But the shadow self is something as traders that we deal with on a daily basis and affects basically everything that we do in trading and who we are when we show up at the charts. So to break down the shadow self, every trade is a reflection of something inside you. I think we all kind of know this. Trading is a game of self-mastery, and your internal world is just as important as the price action going on the charts. So you must control and be aware of which version of yourself is taking each trade. What is the underlying motive behind each trade that you place? So I'm going to show you the best in the flow version of myself, the version of myself that's taking this soul trade, just in the flow, following the structure, not trading from ego, not trading from anything, not over risking, just the version of yourself that shows up that's profitable, that is doing the right things day in and day out. And then I'm going to show you where my shadow self creeps in. And we're going to go over some other trades, talk about some other things, because I've had this show up a lot in my trading career, and I'm sure most traders have. So we're talking about Carl Jung. Carl Jung describes the shadow self as the unconscious part of the psyche that contains everything we repress, deny, or refuse to acknowledge about ourselves. Our impulses, our desires, fears, weaknesses, and traits that don't fit the image we want to present to the world. So in other jobs, you can put on a mask, you can hide these things. In trading, it is just you and the charts. It's you versus you. This is why the shadow self is so important to trading, because you are trading against yourself. You are trading with your shadow self, your highest self. All the versions of yourself come out in your decisions that you make when you sit down and you go to trade these markets. So, to put in here, the shadow self is not evil by default. And I want to elaborate on that. I think it's very important. The shadow self is not evil by default. It is a part of us. It is a part of every human being. It's part of our psyche. It lives in our subconscious. You're not always conscious of when the shadow self is making decisions for you. So, the nature of the shadow self. The shadow self, like I said, is not evil by default. It's amoral. Simply the unfiltered, instinctive side of our psyche. When you're taking a trade strictly off instinct, or, a lot of things, just like when you take a trade, like I did here, just to feel something sometimes, you're bored, all these things. These are not what the profitable highest version of yourself is doing. This is the shadow self feeding itself. It includes the primal drives for survival, power, sexuality, and emotion that the civilization and ego try to suppress. In other words, it's everything you don't want to see in yourself but still exists. In trading, you may not want to see it, but if you do not confront it, these things will come out in your trades. Number 2, shadow projection. When we reject these parts of ourselves, we tend to project them outward, seeing in others what we can't face within ourselves. For example, a trader who represses greed might constantly accuse others of being greedy. They may overtrade after wins because we need more. We will see this in my personal journal in the Foundation Challenge. And we will see why, and I will apply it to my own personal trades this week, in the last couple of weeks. A person who hides anger might see aggression everywhere in the market or other people. We just had a liquidation event. How many people's shadow selves came out? How many people were over leveraged? How many people were trading their emotions? And the market has a funny way of removing that. I saw a ton of different stories of that liquidation event. Here we are, untouched really by it, and should have profited more. That soul trade, if we would have kept that soul trade open. But hey, it wasn't part of the plan. We didn't plan for that. That soul trade would have absolutely printed. Back in, Jung says everything that irritates us about others can lead to us understanding ourselves. Again, because it's all projections of our internal state. So, how do we integrate it? Well, we do something called shadow work. Jung believed that the path to wholeness, what he called individuation, requires integrating the shadow. Integration doesn't mean giving in to the destructive impulses. In our case, trading destructive impulses, breaking your rules, bad discipline, all these things, but acknowledging them, owning them, and then transforming their energy into consciousness. So consciousness is awareness. So if we are aware of the shadow self while we are trading, we don't have to give in to its impulses. We can be aware, we can acknowledge them. When they come up, we can say, hey, why am I taking this trade? Am I taking it because it's fitting my system and all my confluences are stacking? Or am I taking it because I am lacking dopamine? I want the dopamine of placing a trade. I like being in trade, so I'm just going to take this trade because it will make me feel less bored. It will do all these things for us, when in actuality, this is how accounts bleed. And this is traps that I fell into, and where I knew I needed to be more aware and to do the work on myself to become a better trader. Once you make peace with your shadow, it becomes a source of strength, authenticity, and creative power. Young wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." So in trading, I'm sure, and especially at the start, all of us have felt the darkness inside us. I know I have been to some of my lowest points in life because of trading. And there was maybe other factors as well, but trading can be a very dark place. And I believe it is where souls and people trying to level up, they come into this arena because they need to face themselves. They need to go into the darkness and become conscious of themselves, who they are, and confront their shadow selves, confront all the things about them. That's why people talk about, hey, are you unprofitable? Well, how does your life look? Are you going to the gym? Are you meditating? Are you doing breath work? Are you working on yourself? Because all these things translate into the market, how you're playing the market. It's very, very important, and something that I'm currently working on and trying to work on all the time, as I am still relatively at the start of my trading journey. I'm sure that's very apparent. We're taking $10 trades, right? We're at the foundation, and that's why this is called the Foundation Challenge. And finally, number 4, the shadow in performance or trading. In trading or in any mastery pursuit, the shadow shows up as the urge to revenge trade, anger, and control. I'm sure we've all felt this revenge trade feeling. You lose a trade, you want to jump back in, you want to take the next model. This bleeds accounts, and it's not you, it is your shadow self. The need to prove worth or ego, that's ego or insecurity. I'm sure you see this on Twitter a lot. There's a lot, I feel like, of proving energy in this space and in the world in general. But from this energy, we cannot trade to the best of our abilities. The fear of missing out or losing, this is scarcity. We don't feel like we have enough. We chase trades, we chase entries, we see a chart pump, we get FOMO, as they call it. This is not the true self. The true self is abundant. It's already whole. It doesn't need anything to improve it. The fear, it's all an illusion. It's all an illusion that we create in this life. But it's not truly us, and we cannot trade to the best of our abilities when we're functioning out of fear. The market teaches you that fear does not need to rule your life. When you trade from fear, you are blind. You are blind to the truth of what is actually going on. And then the illusion of perfection, control, pride. When we take a trade, we want to win every trade. We feel like we have to be perfect. The Best Loser Wins is a great book by Tom Hugard. He really addresses this in that book. How he talks about, you can't win every trade. You can't win every trade, and part of trading is very backwards to a lot of other professions and a lot of things in life where you can't be afraid to lose. Losing is just the cost of doing business in this game. Each of these emotions, if integrated consciously, can refine intuition and sharpen awareness. But if ignored, they distort perception and create self-sabotage, much like an unacknowledged bias corrupting a system. With that in mind, I'm going to come right into an application of a shadow trade right here on ASTER. So let me give you a little bit of perspective before we hop into this trade right here. Here is a attempted extended model. This is an extended model here that I tried to trade on ASTER, and there was really no reason for it. To give you some context, you know what, we'll show the journal after, but to give you context, we just had our first win on Sol, and we're going to talk about the system and the journal after this. But we also had a win on XLM that I will show you. And we should have been done for the week. We should have been done potentially for the month with how much RR we were able to pull in from that trade. This trade is a shadow model, and I'm going to tell you why. And there's no doubt why it didn't work. there was a couple things lining up that I was looking at. I was looking at this model here on USDT at the time. So I was looking for longs. I was looking for longs here because of this model in USDT, but this model, it's very small in duration, 4 hours long. It didn't even hit technical target, went higher. And sometimes the charts and the market is just a reflection of your internal self. Here, I was not trading from my profitable self, my highest self. I was trading from my shadow. I wanted the dopamine of winning, where we won this soul trade, where we won, showing for the first time here, this XLM trade, absolute beauty. And we were chasing the dopamine. We wanted to take another trade. So here when we saw not only an extended model, but an extended model, something I've never traded. Sure, it kind of looks a little clean, but look at this. I did not really even acknowledge this POI. My brain did not want to pick it up. My reticular activating system did not want to pick this up in my brain. This is very beautiful structure supply that we front ran. Why did we front run this? If we wanted to accumulate, we probably should have mitigated that coming down, and we should have put in the pivot point right here. We don't need to extend again when we already have a drawn out extended model. This is a forced trade. Price barely went my direction before fucking dumping. This is just a great example, and I'm not saying like I'm pissed about taking it or nothing like that. At the end of the day, these are all probabilities, and sure, this could have worked out and absolutely blasted right through the supply and hit take profit. That was obviously a possibility out here, like it is with any time you hit the buttons. Like Mark Douglas said, every time that you enter a trade, it's totally random. But there are things within the psyche, within the mind, the subconscious, that I believe affect the charts more than TA, and it is a very immediate reflection of the trader's internal state. Here, I'm not trading for the right reasons. My shadow self has taken over. It's chasing dopamine. It's chasing the feeling of being in a trade when we should be done for the month, honestly, if we were trading real size. And I know it's harder to trade with $10 risk and make no money, but we're doing this for the love of the game. So with that in mind, we're going to update the journal on the foundation challenge, and we're going to talk about the power of the TCT system now. So if you remember last video, we covered these trades on FC, Fartcoin, where the RRs were fairly low. These system, like we took them, they're fairly low. Very inverse right there. Very interesting. But we had our trade on Sol, and I was in complete flow state. I had to go to lunch with some new teammates, and we saw the confirmations. We took the model. I wrote here, that's all I had to write, is flow trade, just completely in the flow, taking the trade irregardless of any external emotions, just trading the chart, trading the structure. And that's why it worked out perfectly. It's a 5-star trade. It was a beautiful Wyckoff model. But then we had this trade on XLM right here next. Again, complete flow state. We are a little smaller in duration here. But we had, I won't pull it up, but we had great confluence with USDT tapping into a major demand level at the time, which it gave a beautiful reaction. You can see the price action here, just absolutely clean. But we can break down this trade as well after. But the whole, I was testing something here too. The whole ranging environment really here is a day though. Like this is ranging PA. Yes, we deviate the low and we refined it into this beautiful model right here, beautiful model 1, where we had an amazing topping structure. Like just amazing topping structure. We can you know what, we'll do this trade here. We'll get the TA. We got the TA rolling here on this trade. When I saw this, I was gonna take it. I came in, I think right around we'll get this nice and slow here because we want to really see how it would be in real time. But just a beautiful topping structure right here. RTZ is a thing of beauty, right? Like these are the trades that when you're taking them, they just feel like layups. I took this trade and I thought this had probably about a 90% win rate. That was my thought process, and if it didn't, it didn't. We even refined the stop loss a little bit as well, given I believe we had a bars pattern here. Get rid of these sessions. Just a crazy bars pattern top here with a RTZ like this. Boom. Call it what you want. I know people call a lot of different things, Bojan, whatever you want to call this topping pattern right here. But when you put that in confluence with this type of RTZ here, that it was no brainer on this breaker structures. Enter, even refine the stop slightly. Didn't really change the RR much, but what you can see is just super clean follow through, and that's what you get when you stack your confluence on USDT as well. I don't really even want to take any trades that are not in confluence with USDT anymore, because I just have seen how powerful that chart is, and there's really no reason not to. This had a perfect confluence with USDT, and you can just see how beautifully it played out and how high RR this trade was. So I said we were going to talk about the power of the system. We hit take profit right there. We're going to talk about the power of the system, and that's why we're doing the foundation challenge here. It's to show, myself as a trader, yes, but the power of the system we trade called TCT. And we can really see that because now the data is coming in. We're 13 trades in. The data has had a chance to pile up. This ETH trade, my mentor Lars, creator of TCT, he took a break-even trade on this. He had a slightly better entry than me. But we took mainly losses for the first 10 trades. We had 2 wins here on FC. One was an L to get the W, but the RRs were super low, and we actually ended the first 10 trades. I put reset here. We ended the first 10 trades minus 2 RR, down 2% on the account. And within 2 trades, we hit a 10.8 RR and a 10 RR. Look at our equity curve here. This is the power of the TCT system. If you stay consistent, if you stick to your rules, our win rate is only 36%, but we're up. We're up 17.6 RR. So it's just very cool to show the power of the system. Yes, we take this loss here, but disappointment and regret, because we knew that was a shadow trade. We had the awareness to recognize it at the time. So, these are a lot of things, and the shadow self, it creeps into everything we do. I can give you another example on the charts right here, where a trader that I respect pointed out this model on CRV, and it's a very beautiful model. It's an extended model where it has like this TCT and TCT in the 3rd tap, or the 4th tap in this case. RTZ it's okay, but there was really no confluence with USDT. I was busy. I had other commitments. I wasn't able to enter this trade, and I felt a little FOMO. I was like, oh, maybe this is the next trade in the challenge. Looked very nice at the time. Unfortunately, I ended up failing, but you chase this trade and it's not good. Now you're taking another loss, because at the end of the day, all these trades are probabilities, and some trades are for you, some trades are not for you, and that's for a reason, because I've felt this before. There was a pump fund model that I vividly remember, the same thing, super clean model. I was like, oh my god, how did I miss this? And I felt like some FOMO. It's very natural, I suppose. But at the end of the day, sometimes you miss these trades on purpose, I think, or something in your mind, your psyche, subconscious, God, whatever you want to call it, makes you miss trades obviously the market is 24/7. You're not going to catch all trades. Some trades are London entries that I cannot take, and vice versa for other time zones. So, you know, we've been going for a bit here, and I think this video, we really wanted to illustrate the shadow self and how it shows up in trading. And I'm sure anyone who's been trading long enough can verify this and knows when this comes up. And if you're unconscious to it, you're going to be trading against yourself. You're going to be saying, how am I not profitable? I've studied the TA, I'm doing all these things, but it's actually you self-sabotaging yourself. You know, there are things in your subconscious mind that, if not aware of, will sabotage your success. And I've felt this a lot early in my journey. So, you know, I'm not saying that I'm not a victim. I'm the number one victim of this. You know, I'm bringing this up because it's something I absolutely have to work on. And it shows up in many areas of my life. So, and you know, trading is a direct mirror, so it's amplified in this game. And if you don't know it, you're at a severe disadvantage if your goal is to be inevitably profitable, which I don't know why you would not have that goal. And I don't think most people, when they come into trading, they want to be immensely profitable. They want to change their lives, they want to change their families' lives, and those are my goals. So if these things are not addressed, it becomes a real issue. And this has nothing to do with TA. This has everything to do with the mind. This is all on the psychology side, and I wanted to make that a part of this series as much as the TA, because, you know, you don't need to listen to me for the TA. Like, we're listening to the best guys in the game when it comes to TA, and we see it on a daily basis. You can see the power of the system, and I've missed like countless trades throughout this due to my current lifestyle right now. So I think we're going to wrap it up there, but I just wanted to highlight the power of the system in this video and dive into the shadow self. So without further ado, we're going to leave it there. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you in the next one. A little switch up. We'll give the more shadow self music a little highlight, but it's been a pleasure. See you in the next one.
He come my phone, feel like shit, I bet.